Welcome back to the Activist Training Lab video course. As you know, for the last few videos, we've been covering key leadership development practices, and that's going to continue today with this video about training. For the purposes of this video, we're going to define training as passing skills and knowledge from one organizer to another. So why is training important? Well, as we've discussed before, movements require some people to take on leadership positions, and people who are in leadership positions will often do better and be more likely to succeed if they have specialized skills and knowledge that allow them to do tasks well or make good decisions. And training is one way that you can help your leaders develop the specialized skills and knowledge that they need. Training can take many different forms, from conferences, multi-day or day-long trainings, to trainings that last a few hours or even just 15 minutes. Training can happen in large groups, in small groups, or one-on-one. And a training can cover a specific issue, for example, wildlife corridors, or a topic of political or movement history. Training can also, of course, help people learn about a theory, develop new skills, or practice and refine old skills. For example, if I'm canvassing door to door with volunteers who have never canvassed before, I'll do a quick 30-minute how to canvass training before we start knocking on doors. Or if I notice that some leaders in the movement I'm a part of have never written campaign plans before, I may organize a full-day workshop for people to learn and practice the basic skills of campaign planning. Or maybe I decide to start a book group where we read books about historic grassroots movements and meet once a month to discuss what lessons we can apply to our current campaign from past campaigns. As you can see, training can take a diverse array of formats and functions, and if you're seeking to develop leadership, you should be intentional about incorporating many different types of training into your movement. For the next part of this video, I'm going to discuss some key questions you should keep in mind while planning trainings and trying to figure out what types of trainings to incorporate. The first thing to keep in mind is this: what skills and knowledge do people need? In order to answer this question, you'll need to be observant as your movement develops, and I recommend keeping a list of skills that you expect people will need and adding things to that list as you notice areas where your movement leaders could learn or grow. It's also a best practice to ask people what they want to learn about and how they feel their skills could develop. The next question is, who already has the skills and knowledge that your movement leaders need? So ideally, there are experienced organizers within your movement, in your area, or available virtually who can help train your leaders, but there also might be nonprofit organizations or community groups with expertise, and of course, books written by organizers, videos made by organizers like these videos, and other sources might also have what you need. And then the final question to consider is how the people with existing skills can be connected to the people who want to learn the skills. And as we discussed earlier in the video, there are many diverse types of training, and so it's up to you to figure out what will work best for your movement for any given topic or skill. So just to reiterate, the three questions are: what skills and knowledge do people need? Who already has those skills and knowledge? And how can we connect existing skills and knowledge to the people who need them? I want to finish this video with two tools that might be useful for you, and those tools are the apprenticeship model and role-playing. Let's start with the apprenticeship model. So the apprenticeship model of training is great when you're trying to teach someone a complex skill such as writing a campaign plan or facilitating a meeting. And there are 4 steps. First step, I do, you watch. Second step, I do, you help. Third step, you do, I help. And fourth step, you do, I watch, with I being the more experienced trainer and you being the person learning the skill. So for example, if I'm training you to facilitate a meeting, it would go like this. First, I would facilitate a meeting and you would observe. Then I would facilitate another meeting, and this time you would help. You might help me by creating the agenda, and you might run one section of the meeting by yourself. Third, you would facilitate a meeting and you would take the lead and I would offer support. So maybe I step in if you're having trouble facilitating, or I'm there to answer questions if you have trouble creating the agenda. And finally, you'll facilitate a meeting on your own and I'll do nothing but observe, and then we'll debrief afterwards. The apprenticeship model is an example of something called scaffolding, which is when you break a task down into small, manageable pieces so it can be learned slowly and steadily. The second tool I want to highlight is role-playing. And role playing is great when you're trying to teach people concrete skills in a very short amount of time. With role playing, there are typically 3 steps. First, give tips. Second, demonstrate. And third, practice. For example, let's say I'm training 6 volunteers to canvass door to door, and I have 30 minutes to get them trained up and ready to go before we start knocking. My first step would be to give them some simple tips for canvassing. I usually stick to only 2 or 3 tips when I'm running role plays. For example, my 2 canvassing tips might be 1, smile, and 2, stick to your script but don't act like a robot. Once I've given those tips, I would then demonstrate how to canvass, so I'll ask one of my volunteers to pretend to be behind a door, and then I'll pretend to knock on their door, and I'll demonstrate a full canvassing interaction for the rest of the volunteers who are watching. And I might do it 2 or 3 times to show different scenarios and to make sure they've seen enough demonstrations. And then after the demonstration, I'll pair people up and have them role play canvassing with each other. So I'll walk among the pairs to answer questions and give feedback and see how they're doing. And after a little bit of practice, they're ready to go. Role playing is also a useful skill when you're teaching people to table, to make phone calls, to lobby, to collect petition signatures, and it works for a variety of other skills too. And that actually brings us to the end of this video, but if you're interested in more training tools, continue on to our next video, which is about coaching. Thanks for watching.